The security guard steps in front of the black teen just as he approaches the entrance of the mall. Without warning, he raises his hand, blocking the teen's path. "You can't enter," the guard says sharply, his tone stern and dismissive. The teen, confused and frustrated, stops in his tracks. "What do you mean I can't enter? I'm just trying to go inside." The guard doesn't make eye contact and responds without any hesitation. "I said you can't enter. Step aside." A sense of disbelief washes over the teen as he tries to process what's happening. He looks around, but no one else seems to be challenging the guard's authority. He's alone in this moment, with no explanation or justification given for the abrupt denial. The teen attempts to reason with the guard. "I'm just here to shop, just like everyone else. Why am I being stopped?" But the security guard remains unyielding. "You don't have the right to question me. You need to leave." Now, frustration builds within the teen. He had come to the mall for a simple errand, and now he's being treated as though he doesn't belong. His voice trembles slightly but stays firm. "This isn't right. Why am I being treated like this? I haven't done anything wrong." The security guard looks around, scanning the mall entrance as though looking for any reason to further justify his actions. "Just do what you're told," he snaps. By now, a few other people are starting to notice the situation, some pulling out their phones to record, while others glance in the teen's direction, sensing something unfair happening. The teen's face turns red with anger and embarrassment, but he refuses to back down. "This isn't just about me, is it? Why won't you let me in? Is this how you treat everyone?" The guard gives him a cold stare, showing no signs of compassion. "I said step aside." At this moment, the tension in the air is palpable. The teen looks around, noticing the people who have stopped and are now watching, the voices murmuring behind him, the unease in the atmosphere. It's all telling him this isn't just a case of a simple misunderstanding. There's something deeper at play. Then, the unthinkable happens. A voice calls from behind the teen. "Is there a problem here?" The voice, calm and authoritative, commands immediate attention. The teen turns to see who is speaking. The security guard seems to hesitate, his eyes flicking nervously. Standing just a few feet away is a figure, a middle-aged man who exudes a quiet power. His voice, though gentle, carries a weight of recognition. The man approaches, his gaze fixed on the security guard. "What's going on?" The guard stammers, unsure how to respond. "This kid, he's not allowed in. I thought—" But before he can finish, the man turns to the teen, his expression changing to one of immediate recognition and respect. "Of course you can go in," the man says, a reassuring smile replacing any form of suspicion. "Go ahead." The security guard, standing there stunned and confused, watches as the teen, now relieved, walks past him into the mall. There's no more resistance, no more argument. The situation has shifted in an instant, and the entire mood of the crowd changes with it. As the teen enters the mall, the tension that once filled the air begins to dissipate. The eyes that followed him, those who watched his every move, now see something completely different. An undeniable shift in power, one that cannot be ignored. What happens next, no one expected. The security guard, still in a state of disbelief, watches silently. He realizes too late that the teen he had dismissed so easily wasn't just another shopper. He was the son of the mall's owner. The security guard, still standing firmly in front of the teen, crosses his arms with a stern look on his face. "I told you, you're not allowed to enter," he says, his tone unyielding. The teen, now feeling both anger and confusion, stands his ground. "What's going on? Why can't I go in? What's the problem?" The security guard's gaze is cold, but he doesn't answer directly. Instead, he pushes back, his voice tight with authority. "You don't need to know. Just leave." The teen's frustration bubbles over, and he steps forward, almost challenging the guard. "Number, I've done nothing wrong, and I'm not going anywhere. I'm just trying to shop." I deserve to be treated like anyone else. The crowd, once just a passive onlooker, is now beginning to take notice. Several people nearby glance over, some with phones in hand, recording the scene unfold. The air feels thick with anticipation. Many are waiting to see how this confrontation will end. The security guard, trying to maintain his control over the situation, steps closer to the teen. You don't get to decide that. I've got my orders. At that moment, the teen takes a deep breath, his voice steady but resolute. Orders or not, you don't get to treat me like this. I'm not leaving. The teen's defiance echoes through the mall, causing murmurs among the crowd. Some of them have already begun whispering to each other, while others look on in shock, some even trying to capture the moment with their phones. The teen looks around, realizing that he's no longer alone in this fight. People are beginning to notice the unfair treatment, and their growing discomfort is palpable. Do you even know why you're stopping me? The teen asks. What did I do wrong? The security guard hesitates for a brief moment, unable to offer a valid explanation. Instead, he just repeats, I'm following the rules. You need to go. The teen shakes his head, anger mixing with disbelief. The rules? What rules? Is this how you treat everyone, or is it just me? The teen's challenge cuts through the tension, and now the crowd is truly divided. Some nod in agreement while others are uncomfortable with the obvious racial undertones of the situation. The whispers grow louder, and the pressure on the security guard builds. He's realizing that his authority is being questioned, and it's clear that the crowd is beginning to side with the teen. The teen takes one more step forward, refusing to back down. You're not going to get away with this. I know my rights. I'm not leaving until you give me a real reason. The security guard, flustered and defensive, starts to lose his composure. He tries to force the teen to move, but the teen stands firm, his expression unwavering. This isn't just about gaining access to the mall anymore. It's become about standing up against an injustice that the guard refuses to acknowledge. With every passing second, the tension between the two builds. The crowd is no longer passive. Their collective unease is starting to feel more like support for the teen. The situation is escalating, and no one is sure how it will play out. But one thing is certain. This is more than just a confrontation between a mall security guard and a teen. It's about something much larger, an unjust system that the teen refuses to accept. As the verbal standoff continues, the teen's resolve hardens. He's not just standing up for himself anymore. He's standing up for anyone who's ever been treated unfairly, for anyone who's been silenced and dismissed. The crowd's discomfort is turning into action. Whispers become louder, phones continue to record, and the pressure on the security guard intensifies. Something has to give. The security guard, now visibly flustered, steps back slightly, his hand reaching for his radio. I need backup, he says into the device, his voice trembling with authority that seems to be slipping away. He's no longer in control of the situation. The teen stands firm, unwavering, his arms crossed as he watches the guard. Why do you need backup? What, are you scared of me? His words are calm, but his tone carries the weight of his frustration. What have I done to deserve this? The crowd, once only whispering among themselves, now begins to speak more openly. Some nod in agreement with the teen, others exchange uncomfortable glances, but no one is stepping forward to intervene. The atmosphere is thick with tension, and it's clear that this moment is something bigger than just a refusal to enter a mall. The security guard, growing more defensive, holds his position. I'm just following orders, he says, his voice weak in comparison to the earlier commands. He looks around nervously, trying to maintain a sense of control as he waits for backup to arrive. The teen, however, isn't deterred. You're not fooling anyone, the teen retorts, his voice rising with conviction. This isn't about following orders. This is about treating people like garbage just because of how they look. The teen steps forward, his eyes locked on the security guards. I'm not going anywhere until you give me a real reason why you're doing this. This is my right, and you don't get to take it from me." As the radio crackles with the arrival of backup, 2 more security officers appear at the scene, adding to the growing tension. Their presence doesn't intimidate the teen. If anything, it strengthens his resolve. He's not just standing up for himself anymore. He's standing up for everyone who's ever felt like they didn't belong, for everyone who's been wronged. The backup security officers exchange looks, unsure of how to handle the situation. They clearly weren't prepared for this, and the air is thick with uncertainty. The teen doesn't back down. He turns to the new officers, his voice clear and loud for everyone to hear. "You think this is just a job for you? You think you can control people like me just because you wear a uniform?" He shakes his head. "This isn't just about me. This is about all of us, and I'm not going to let you treat people like this anymore." The crowd, which had been silent moments ago, now begins to react more openly. Some people speak out, expressing their support for the teen. Others look around, unsure of what to do, but the discomfort is evident. The pressure is building on the security team. One of the backup officers, trying to regain some sense of control, steps forward and addresses the teen. "We don't need this kind of trouble," he says, but his voice lacks the authority it once had. "Just leave, and we can move on." The teen's gaze hardens. "You think I'm the problem here? Number, the problem is you, and everyone who thinks they can just bully people because of the way they look. That's what this is about." The teen's words hang in the air, and the crowd's reaction intensifies. The tension reaches its peak as the teen continues to challenge the officers, refusing to back down. There's no anger in his voice, just a calm, unshakable certainty that what he's doing is right. The security guards, now realizing they've lost control of the situation, exchange uneasy glances. They've underestimated this teen, and the crowd is no longer on their side. The teen's persistence and the growing support around him have begun to shift the balance of power. The situation is at a breaking point, and it's clear that the teen's courage and the crowd's shifting opinion are what's truly defining this moment. The security guards stand still, unsure of how to move forward. The teen has done something no one expected. He's taken control of the situation, and there's nothing they can do to stop it. Just as the tension reaches its peak, the mall manager arrives on the scene. Dressed in a sharp suit, he strides toward the group, his face calm and composed, as if he's seen this all before. The crowd murmurs in anticipation. For a brief moment, there's hope that someone will finally take charge and resolve the situation. But the outcome of this meeting isn't what anyone expects. The manager looks at the teen, then at the 2 security guards, and takes a deep breath. "What's the situation here?" His voice is even, though there's a sense of uncertainty creeping into his words. The security guard who first stopped the teen quickly recounts the events, explaining how the young man had been denied entry based on suspicion, even though he had done nothing wrong. "He's just refusing to leave, sir. We've asked him to leave several times." The teen stands with a defiant, calm expression, his arms still crossed. His voice is steady as he speaks to the manager. "I haven't done anything wrong. I'm not leaving until I get an explanation from someone in charge." He turns to the crowd and gestures with his hand. "You all see this, right? All I want to do is enter this mall, but I'm being treated like I don't belong here." The manager listens carefully, and as he takes in the teen's words, a brief look of realization crosses his face. He turns to the security guards, then back to the teen. "You're saying you have a right to be here?" The manager's voice doesn't waver, but there's an air of curiosity in his words now. Without hesitation, the teen nods, his gaze unwavering. He takes a moment to let the crowd simmer in silence. "Actually, I do," the teen says, his words hanging in the air. "I'm the son of the mall's owner." The revelation hits everyone like a bolt of lightning. The mall manager's face pales, and for a moment, he doesn't know how to respond. The crowd gasps in shock. The security team looks at each other, clearly uneasy with the realization that they've just made an enormous mistake. The mall manager's tone shifts from calm to apologetic in an instant. I had no idea," he stammers, now visibly uncomfortable. "I'm so sorry. There must have been a misunderstanding." He turns to the security officers, his voice sharp as he addresses their actions. "You were in the wrong, and this shouldn't have happened." The teen's expression softens slightly, but he doesn't back down. "It shouldn't have happened, period. But you know what? This is a bigger issue than just me. It's about how people like me are treated every day just because of how we look." The crowd, which had been tense and quiet moments before, now begins to stir. Some start clapping quietly in support of the teen, while others exchange murmurs of disbelief. The security officers stand at attention, now clearly aware of the gravity of their mistake. Their previous sense of authority has crumbled, and they can no longer justify their actions. The mall manager steps closer to the teen, his face filled with regret. "We will make this right," he says, though his words carry little weight in the moment. The damage has already been done, and he knows it. "This will be addressed. You won't be treated like this again." The teen nods, but his gaze remains firm. Actions speak louder than words. You don't get to apologize now and make it all go away. The change has to come from the top. The atmosphere in the mall shifts dramatically. The crowd, once silent and unsure, is now energized. The teen's calm confidence, combined with the support from the growing crowd, has altered the balance of power. What started as a tense confrontation has turned into a moment of undeniable justice. The security officers look down, ashamed of their actions. They now understand the gravity of the situation, but it's too late to undo the harm they've caused. The mall manager, though apologetic, knows that this incident will haunt the mall's reputation for a long time. As the crowd disperses, some people approach the teen, expressing their support. They recognize him now, but even more, they see him as a symbol of standing up for what's right. The teen has not only stood up for himself, but has also made a statement that will resonate with everyone who witnessed the events unfold. The crowd goes silent as the mall manager scrambles to make amends. Realizing his mistake, he steps forward, attempting to apologize. "I deeply regret how this was handled," he says, his voice shaky. "It won't happen again." The teen, however, isn't impressed. He looks at the manager with calm resolve, shaking his head. "I don't need your apology," the teen responds. "I need action. This isn't just about me. It's about a system that assumes the worst about people based on their skin color. Words won't change that." His voice is steady, but the weight of his words hits hard. The mall manager stammers, "We'll address it. We'll make sure this doesn't happen again." "No," the teen interrupts. "Addressing it isn't enough. You need to change how you treat people every day. This could have happened to anyone, and you've got the power to change that." As the crowd watches, many nod in agreement. The manager, now aware of the bigger picture, finally speaks up again. "You're right. We will make sure this doesn't happen again. We will do better." But the teen isn't done. It's not just about saying the right things now. It's about standing up and doing the right thing every time. The mall staff and bystanders exchange glances, understanding the significance of this moment. The atmosphere has shifted from awkward to reflective. The teen's courage has made the issue impossible to ignore, and it's clear that change needs to happen, not just within the mall, but beyond. Within hours, the story goes viral, with messages flooding the mall's social media accounts. Customers express their shock and disappointment, and the mall's management begins to feel the pressure. In the following days, they announce new diversity and inclusion initiatives, including anti-racism training for all staff. The teens' actions spark a much-needed conversation about racism, bias, and fairness. People across the community are inspired to speak up and challenge discrimination wherever they see it. The mall manager and staff realize the importance of real, lasting change. The teen's words will not be forgotten. He's not just a customer. He's a voice for a future where discrimination has no place. The mall manager stands there, visibly flustered, unsure of what to say. He knows he's messed up, but the situation is spiraling out of control. As the teen's words echo in the mall, the security guard, who had initially questioned the teen, looks at the ground, unsure of how to respond. The audience in the store watches, with some shaking their heads, others looking disappointed but silently supporting the teen. The teen's eyes lock onto the manager, who finally manages to speak, though his voice wavers. I'm sorry for what happened. This isn't how we're supposed to treat anyone." The apology is half-hearted, but it's all he can muster. But the teen isn't swayed. Sorry doesn't fix this. You've just exposed your bias. And it's not just you. It's the system that allows this kind of thing to happen. The manager hesitates. "We're going to review the situation and make sure this doesn't happen again." The teen shakes his head, disappointment flashing in his eyes. "Reviewing it isn't enough. I need to see change. I need you to acknowledge what's wrong and take real action. Don't just do it because people are watching. Do it because it's the right thing to do." A silence falls over the mall. Customers exchange glances, others turn their heads in acknowledgement. The gravity of the situation is hitting home. The teen's words are making an impact. It's clear that what happened wasn't just a misunderstanding. It was a reflection of a deeper problem that many people choose to ignore. In the coming days, social media explodes with support for the teen. Videos of the incident go viral, and people from all walks of life voice their outrage at the treatment the teen endured. The mall's management, now under intense scrutiny, issues a public apology. The teen's stand forces the mall to take immediate action. They announce new policies for better customer service, with an emphasis on diversity and inclusivity training for all staff. The teen's courage to stand up for himself and others has started a ripple effect. People who once stood silently are now speaking out. The story of this young man, who was initially rejected and insulted, becomes a lesson in resilience, standing up against racism and creating change. The mall, which once represented a space of indifference, is now at the forefront of a conversation that needs to be had. The teen's actions remind everyone that standing up against injustice is never easy, but it is always worth it. The security guard's face is flushed with embarrassment as the manager approaches, his voice hesitant and apologetic. "I didn't mean for things to go this far," the manager says, trying to regain control of the situation. The teen, however, is still standing tall, unshaken by the apology, his arms crossed firmly across his chest. "Apologies are easy," the teen responds, his voice calm but filled with authority. "What matters is what happens next. What are you going to do to make sure this doesn't happen again?" The manager stammers, clearly uncomfortable under the pressure. But before he can respond, the teen continues, his words cutting through the air like a sharp blade. "You know, I've been discriminated against before. But this is something else. You should be ashamed of yourselves, not just for stopping me, but for assuming I don't belong here." The atmosphere grows tense. A few onlookers exchange uneasy glances, some with nods of agreement. It's clear that this incident has made people uncomfortable. No one expected the situation to escalate to this point. But now that it has, they realize how wrong it was in the first place. As the silence stretches on, the teen finally speaks again, but this time his voice carries a weight of responsibility. If you really care about doing better, start by being honest. Acknowledge the mistake. But don't stop there. Do something. People are watching, his words echo, and the room seems to hold its breath. The manager looks around, seeing the disapproving faces of customers who are now realizing the magnitude of what just transpired. He nods slowly, fully aware that the situation can't be swept under the rug. "We will do better," he says, more firmly this time. "We'll review our practices, ensure staff training on inclusivity, and improve our customer service policies." The teen looks at him one last time, his gaze intense. "I hope you do," he says quietly, before turning to leave. As he walks away, heads turn, and there's a noticeable shift in the atmosphere. People are now more aware of the issue at hand. The video of the incident spreads quickly on social media, and soon it's not just local people who are talking about it, but voices from all over the world. The incident sparks a larger conversation on discrimination, customer rights, and corporate responsibility. The teen's courage has done more than just stand up for himself. It has ignited a movement. The mall's management, under increasing pressure, is forced to take immediate action. They announce a new diversity and inclusion initiative, as well as a commitment to implementing better training for all their staff. The teens' stand has forced them to recognize that change is needed, and it's not just about a single apology. It's about accountability and a sustained effort to make sure no one else experiences the same treatment. In the weeks that follow, the teen receives messages of support from across the globe. People thank him for using his voice to make a difference, and for showing others that standing up to injustice can create real change. The mall, once known for its silence, is now at the forefront of a movement, and it's all because one teen refused to accept the status quo. The crowd that had gathered outside the store is still buzzing with energy, and people are now actively discussing what happened. Social media posts are being shared at lightning speed, capturing the moment the teen stood his ground, and the manager's apology quickly becoming a viral sensation. But the real transformation begins after the dust settles, and the teen's message starts to resonate deeply with people all over the world. Days after the incident, the mall makes an official statement. They announce a formal apology, not just to the teen, but to everyone who has ever been unjustly treated. The management acknowledges their mistake and commits to instituting changes that will prevent future discrimination. It's a step in the right direction, but many know that actions speak louder than words. The teen's life, however, is far from ordinary now. He's received countless messages of encouragement from people across the globe. What started as an uncomfortable, almost unfair confrontation has now sparked a widespread conversation about racial equality, justice, and respect in public spaces. In an exclusive interview, the teen is asked how he feels now that the video has gone viral. His response is humble, yet powerful. "I didn't do this for attention. I did this because I knew it was the right thing to do. I wasn't just standing up for myself, but for everyone who has been ignored or treated unfairly. It was a moment of truth, and I couldn't let it slip by." As more stories of similar incidents come to light, the teen becomes a symbol of change. His courage and determination encourage others to raise their voices against injustice. Soon after, a wave of support emerges, and many people are now more vocal in demanding better treatment from businesses, schools, and even government institutions. The teen, once just a regular teenager, has now unknowingly become a role model for people who had previously felt powerless. The mall's initiative to improve its practices gains traction, and other businesses follow suit. The teen's actions influence a wider societal shift, making people more aware of their everyday actions, biases, and how they can positively impact the community. The teen's story is picked up by media outlets, and soon he's invited to speak at schools, community events, and even diversity and inclusion workshops. He's become a beacon of hope for young people everywhere who want to see change, and his message continues to inspire others to fight for fairness and equality. Looking back, the teen realizes the power of standing up for what's right. "It wasn't easy," he admits, "but it was worth it. We all have a voice, and if we don't speak up, nothing changes." As he walks through his school hallways, he's greeted by classmates with newfound respect. The change he started has ignited something much larger than himself. It's a movement for justice that refuses to be silenced.